Hello, it's DebV. Today I'm going to be working on, well, it's an embroidery and sewing project. It's a wrist strap with the word freedom on it. Another idea of my son's, the one with the quack attack. And he wanted it in navy blue. And of course, I can't find navy blue. You have a lifetime to work fabric. Apparently, well, come to think of it, I have some dark denim. That would work. So I've got this royal blue that crossed my mind. And then I have this chunk. It was going to be a small tote bag, as you can see, the way the corners are cut out. And I thought that it was interesting. It's more splotchy looking, modeled, I believe is. And I can fit it in. I mean, it's 3/8 of an inch shorter than the 12.5 I usually cut. Not a big deal. And then, of course, we have denim, which, I mean, is the American fabric, right? Decisions. Well, the denim will last the longest. And I'm not going to make myself any pants out of it, that's for sure. I mean, it would take a lot more than this to make them some pants. So, it's kind of heavy duty. I had made something out of it a long time ago. So for this, for my wrist straps, I've done it before. I showed you on the quack attack. Well, I didn't show the cutting section. But we're just going to open this up. And it doesn't... Oops, dropped my cardboard. Yeah, I just cut old boxes up. I did buy a bunch of comic book things when I had a little more money. Now, I like to say, when I was rolling in it, I was never rolling in it. I just like to say it. Let's not spill the coffee. Where is safe? Way over here. I knock things off the table all the time. This is one of those electric tables. I'd asked for it for Christmas. Last year? I don't know. And I love it. I love it. I can raise it up high enough so I can stand at it, and I use it instead of my old cutting table, which I did keep, but it's in storage. It has the sides that fold down, and then you can pull them up and wrap the legs out, and I'll tell you what, now they're like, I don't know, $100 and something. When I bought it, I think I paid 50 or 60. So it was a long time ago. It's still kicking. It's stained up. It's cut up from me not even putting down a mat. But this one I didn't want to cut all up, so I bought a cutting mat. And this is actually 2 cutting mats because the bottom one I've got an ironing board over here that my younger son made for me, and I had him use 1/4 inch so it wouldn't be so heavy for the board, and then I put layers of cotton batting and wool batting, wrapped it all in fabric, put belts on the back side, and he stapled it all down. And I warped my board because I would set it on it, and I would be using so much heavy steam on things that it went right through that 1/4 inch board and warped it. So I got another board, and he got another 1/4 inch board, added it to the back of this, and redid the whole thing. Now it's kind of heavy for me to pick up, so to be honest, I don't use it too much. I told him I think he's going to have to cut it in half. We made it big enough to cover the whole top of this, and I think I'm going to have to go with smaller, just so it's not so hard on my back picking it up, because that's an issue. Anyhow, so I have this 6.5 by 12.5 ruler, and I will just lay it at, because I do it 4 inches, happens to be my key fobs are 1 inch wide. So you take the width of your key fob and you multiply it by 4 if you're going to be folding your fabrics in. If you're using something like leather or even vinyl, something that can have an edge, a raw edge, excuse me, then you can just cut 2 strips the width and glue them together, kind of a thing. I would still cut it, a little bigger, and then use a ruler, a straight ruler, to trim the edges nice and straight. But that's me. This, because it's fabric, I need it folded in on itself. So I just lay it at the 4 inches, and I run the whole length of this. You can make your wrist straps shorter, but I have found that for me that's easier for accuracy. Plus, if a man's going to put his hand through it, he might want it a little thicker. So now I have 4 by 12.5. Real easy to do. This is actually supposed to sharpen your blades as it goes, but I'll tell you what, if you waver any and catch that blade on the side, you're also going to end up with nicks. So sometimes it's not the ideal thing to use. If I can pick it up. So I just need to get all that back on there. This, because it's heavy denim, I won't even need to because this is heavy denim, I won't need to put stabilizer in it. So I'll just crease it, fold it in on itself to that crease. You're going to stay just the back side of that crease. And we'll do that with both sides, and then we'll fold it over. I had just pinned all this up, and then thought, wait, I didn't do the embroidery. Love my brain. Oh, okay, so we're going to mark our center line, which would be 2 inches in. And then I'm going to do 1 inch so that I have this. Use whichever marking tool you prefer. But the thing is that I'm going to have to center it on my hoop. So I have to have those center lines. Now, finding your center line for this, if you do like me and do 12.5, you figure that's only 6 1/8. So I could just drop this down and draw it. Okay, if my hands would quit moving it. But we have to remember that we have an extra 1/4 of an inch on here. Do you know what? Did you see what I just did? I said 6 1/8. It's 6 1/4. That's all right. It's going to wash off. 6 1/4. We're going to drop a center line at 6 1/4. And make it nice and dark. And now I need to remember there's a 1/4 inch at the bottom that I'm not going to count. So we're not going to split that in half to find the center. It actually, my key fob takes 3/8 of an inch. So this end is 6 1/4. The center of it would be 6 and or 3 1/8, excuse me, tongue tied here. But I have to take off, I'm just going to do 1/4 inch. If I try to fool with the 3/8, and then you've got to figure that, okay, now it's not 6 inches, it's 5 7/8, and half of that, you know, you're getting into 16th inches. My ruler doesn't have it, and I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to go 3 1/4 inches in and drop a center point. So I've got a center of that. Now I need the center of that actual 1 inch mark. Just there for a crosshair, which I used the wrong side of my ruler, so I'll just make it a fat line. So that'll be the center of my design. Did you see how I did that? I have to do it again, so we're fine. We go up from the end, 3 1/4, and draw a line. Now we go, let's not use that side. Now we go a 1/2 inch up from the edge of that 1 inch just to get our crosshair, and that's the center of the design. Now I will stitch freedom and freedom on each side of the wrist wrap. But I've got all my lines lined up, and I can use the 5x7 hoop, and now you can use tearaway with, say, 505. I'm out of tearaway, so I will be using probably cutaway, isn't it? From when I was last year, I was doing a lot of embroidery design videos, so I had pre-cut quite a bit of pieces out. This is 2 layers of that mesh, that really lightweight mesh. So I'm going to put 2 layers of that in my hoop because I don't want it too heavy, but it needs to be strong enough to hold the stuff in place. And I will get and use that in my hoop to do the stitching. This is now ready to go to the embroidery machine. So I'll meet you at the embroidery.
Okay, on the Baby Lock Flourish 2, this is your screen. Now my design is on a thumb drive, and I use an extender, so you see that black wire hanging off the side. They say it doesn't wear it out as fast, so I got one. Half the time I have to plug it in and out to get it to recognize, so I don't know what to tell you. I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference myself. But it's that little squiggly line, that is for your USB on everything. If it shows that little weird line, that's what that means. Now, I made the design white. So it's a blank spot. I looked and looked and looked, and I had to put it back in the computer. I'm like, it's not there. Why is it? Because I forgot I had made it white. When you touch it, now you can see it. Because when I touch it, it turns it black on the background. Okay, so now it's actually there, but you can't see it. I'm going to rotate it, and now it if you want it to run upward, then you'll need to go the other way. So now it should be going upward towards the keychain, the key fob. Can't tell because some crazy old lady decided to make it white. I wonder if I can... There we go. Now we can see it. Just go in and change the color. I mean, you thread it. This machine is a 1-thread machine, so it doesn't matter what color is on my screen. It's going to stitch the thread I have run through the machine, so it's fine. But now I'm going to need to move it. Now, if you go back, that's your back button. You can do move and it'll get you the same way, but I just find it easier to do this and finish it up from this screen. So I'm going to move the camera slightly. Hopefully that wasn't too much. I'm going to put my foot down so that I can see my crosshairs better up through the top. I'm going to try and not bounce the camera, which I just bumped. I did line up the X with that stroke. The baby lock frames have your crosshair lines on the outer edges, so you can lay a ruler or something straight up against it, draw a line, and get your crosshair for the center of the hoop. Well, that also works if you're just trying to get it lined up with one center. Since I'm going to use both sides of this, I put this as far over as I could on this side. And now I will just use my arrows, too fast, to get it lined up with my crosshair. And to me, that looks perfect. I'm going to move you closer. Now you can see my crosshairs a little better. Hopefully, it won't pop out and hit the camera. Now I hit end. Well, actually, for that screen, it just shows embroidery, the little word embroidery in the right bottom corner of your screen. It's a button. You touch that, it goes to the basic play screen, I guess is what you'd want to call it. Now my foot is already down, so my button is turned green. I've got white thread threaded in. I took the opportunity to change the needle real fast because I could hear it thumping, and to me that signifies that the needle is dull. So this is what I have used for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. I have been using in my machines. The one before this was a Brother 8500 PC. Anyhow, I use a size 80-12. I don't use the 11s. This is what I bought. This is what I use. I really couldn't give you a reasoning behind it, except that it has a little more oomph. If I was trying to embroider on very fragile material, then I would need a smaller needle, maybe even a 9, but then I would also have to have some really specially designed patterns to work on a very fine fabric. Most of our designs have too many stitches for a real fine fabric. So this is what I use. It works well for me. So now we're going to move it to fit on this side. That looks right on to me. And we hit the embroidery button off to the side. Now it should stitch with it, the bottom of it here, and going that way. It's all set. I just need to trim out those little threads and we'll get it all folded up to be sewn. So here we go, all done. Freedom, freedom. The denim is good and strong. The machine handled it quite well. I still have a hard time squeezing these, but it worked. It's in there. I went with a navy blue thread so it can't be seen, so that I could squeeze it in as close as possible. And it worked out great. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.